Hello, I'm Beck. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice. Let's bring out the Tower of Destiny! Now, because it's close to Christmas and I rolled fairy and multiclass, I decided to make this a little bit of a Christmas tree fairy and make her a bard druid, or a druid bard. I wanted her to be first and foremost druid, but then have some bardic influences. So with fairies, they are, I think, a bit of a later addition into the D&D Beyond world. But the official description has them as fairies are wee folk, but not nearly as much so as their pixie and sprite friends. I think they added this in because the official size of a fairy is small, whereas pixies and sprites are classified as tiny. I would personally call fairies tiny as well, but it is what it is. Infused with the magic of the Feywild, most fairies look like small elves with insectile wings, but each fairy has a special physical characteristic that sets that fairy apart. And they have a D8 rollable table that you can roll for their special characteristic, or you could just sort of choose your own. I rolled on the table and I got a 3, which means my fairy has exceptionally large ears. So I decided to add that in, little bit of fun there. And what else do we have? We have fairy traits. So creature type is fey, size is small, walking speed is 30 feet, and they also have flight because they have wings. So your flying speed is the same as your walking speed, unless you have medium or heavy armor. Now, in terms of just the logic of how this works in my brain, I would argue that if armor is small enough to fit a fairy, it would be by default lightweight, because if a human was picking up something that's armor for a fairy, it would be... Anyway, I can understand in the context of like to a fairy, you can only... Like if the fairy is lifting it and it's heavy, they probably can't fly with it. That also makes sense to me as well. Fairies also have something called fairy magic, which just straight away at level 1, it means you know the Druid craft cantrip. At 3rd level, you can cast fairy fire. And at 5th level, you can cast the enlarge reduce spell. So that's pretty fun. I think because fairy was added later, it doesn't have like a million different traits like a lot of the other more basic races. But flying creatures are always fun to play with, and especially like little magical ones. Because fairies are already like very connected with nature, like the Feywild is, as the name would suggest, very wild, and just letting nature take over. I thought Druid was a natural choice for this fairy to be as her sort of base class. The official description says that whether calling on elemental forces of nature or emulating the creatures of the natural animal world, Druids are an embodiment of nature's resilience, cunning, and fury. They claim no mastery over nature. Instead, they see themselves as extensions of nature's indomitable will. Indomitable. I can say that word. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. So, if you've seen the D&D movie, or you're familiar kind of with D&D, you probably know Druids as the class that can shapeshift into animals. That's their most notable distinction from other classes. They can do like a lot of other magic-y things. I once heard someone describe the Druid class as kind of the Swiss Army knife of classes, because they can do combat, they can do magic, they can do healing, and of course they can shapeshift into various creatures that help to be sneaky or help to, like, they can kind of do any of the things a little bit. So whereas you'll have like a rogue whose specialty is being sneaky, a druid can be sneaky. Like if you turn into a spider and are hiding on the roof, then that, depending on the TM's opinion, could give you advantage in stealth, because people don't usually notice insects that are just kind of hanging out. But a rogue would obviously have proficiencies in that. Yeah, so as a druid, what special traits do you get? La, 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 la. Well, you get optional class features, which is kind of the subclass. This character, who I'm going to call Tinsel, Tinsel's subclass in her druid area is just the circle of land, and specialty is forest. So kind of the cliche of a druid, basically. Oh, hello, Panda. I don't know if you can hear her meowing, but she says hi. There's a lot of subclasses for druid, and in Circle of Land there's sort of subclasses, because you can be Arctic land, coastal land, desert land, forest land, grassland, mountain land, swampland, underdark land. And each of them just have a few specific spells that you can only get if you're in that subclass. In the forest one, she gets bark skin, which sort of increases your armor class, makes you a bit tougher, which is handy if you can't wear armor and fly at the same time. She has spider climb, which she might come in handy, but she can fly, so she might not need that a lot. At different levels, she gets things like core lightning, plant growth, divination, freedom of movement, commune with nature, and tree stride. Now, in the class of Bard, I think we're familiar with Bards. Even if you don't play D&D, it's what the name suggests. It's an artiste, usually a performer, usually a musical performer, who can do magic, but their magic is very much tied to their performance and how, it's their charisma ability, but it's all based around how well they play their instrument or how well they do their acting or dance it, like whatever their artistic skill is, they sort of use that to do magic, and it's got some fun stuff that you, like in combat, you can use your guitar to just blast people, that kind of thing. Let's have a looky-loo. I don't like that I just said looky-loo, but I'm leaving it in because Merry Christmas. So the subclass in Bards is the Bard colleges, they call it. So we have College of Creation, College of Eloquence, College of Law, and College of Valor. And I think probably College of Law would be this fairy's subclass for Bard, because she's all about the spirit of Christmas, which doesn't necessarily mean this sounds really weird, but doesn't necessarily mean that she's like Jesus and all that, because that would be more of a cleric thing. I think she's maybe goes further, like deeper into the roots of where the Christians kind of got a lot of inspiration, shall we say, for the Christmas celebratory things. So probably more of the pagan traditions, where it's people gathering together around Yule, which is the shortest night of the year, the winter solstice. They would get together when it was, dark and cold, and they would have big parties to keep morale up, and they would bring trees inside so that the spirits of the forest could stay warm and safe, and they would leave offerings on the trees, such as berries, which kind of resemble baubles, and candles like tinsel and lights, and they would want to appease the spirits of nature so that when spring came around, the forest would come to life again. The spirits would bless them. You know, that kind of deal. So I think that's the lore that she would be singing about and enjoying. But I think she enjoys all the Christmas songs because, I mean, who doesn't? They're very catchy, even if some of the lyrics are a bit dodgy. Now, if we have a look at her abilities, she has a +1 to strength, which could indicate that she often chooses to not use her wings, and she's built up some strength by climbing things, maybe using spider climb, maybe not, but yeah, she likes to do sort of strength related athletic-y things and has built up a +1 to that. And similarly with dexterity, she would be quite stealthy, so that makes sense, but she's also trained herself to be very dexterous, probably climbing different trees and probably again choosing to not use her wings so that she can do flips and have fun that way. Doing little flips off decorations on the tree and stuff. Yeah. The -1 tells me she cannot handle her eggnog. -1 to intelligence means she doesn't really care to read books or remember where she came from, where she's going. She doesn't need to memorize a lot of stuff in her Christmas fairy lifestyle. With her average sort of +0 wisdom, she's I think she's like gets on like she's got the +1 to charisma. She gets on quite well with people, but I don't know that she can read them very well. I think it's just like, yeah, her life experience maybe hasn't given her that much wisdom to date. Which is where her call to adventure comes in. I think that she probably is maybe not looking. I think she could do well with getting some life experience and traveling around with a group of adventurers who could give her a little more wisdom, a little more experiences of seeing the world and meeting more creatures and characters and getting to know not just things that are fun. I think she's been very much a fun-loving, fun-seeking kind of person up until now, and she could stand to do some good in the world, which often includes facing harder things. I think she's until now avoided having to be around difficult or sad or just anything that's not just a fun-loving togetherness party vibe. I think she has avoided it, but I think she needs to be like thrown in the deep end with an adventuring party where something happens where she absolutely can't refuse the call. She maybe someone she cares about gets kidnapped or in trouble, or Christmas is in danger. The obvious call to adventure for a Christmas fairy is something is threatening Christmas itself. That could be a fun one-shot game with this character, I think. I like to think background-wise that she maybe grew up with other creatures that are associated with other holidays, so maybe she's best friends with the Easter Bunny. This isn't really a holiday one, but she probably knows the Tooth Fairy. Maybe that's like her sister or something. I do think the Tooth Fairy would make a great one to draw as like a blood hunter type situation, because she's kind of stealing people's bodily things. Teeth are... Anyway, that's a whole different video. We're talking about fun Christmas things today. And this is Tinsel, the Christmas tree fairy. She loves to sing and dance, and she loves to be among the pine-scented trees and just enjoy the holidays, you know? Merry Christmas, everyone. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays. Have a good break if you can. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you on the other side of the new year. Okay, bye.